Hi there, my name is Anna and today's class is for the hips and the lower back. So we are going to focus on really mobilizing in these big joints of the hips and doing some stuff for the lower back as well so that we can get these tissues moving and grooving a little bit easier. And then we're also going to work on creating some support and strength in the low back and the hips and the pelvis as well. So I would highly recommend, if you have blocks, that you go ahead and grab them. If you don't have any, it won't be a huge deal. We'll be able to make do without. So go ahead and come down onto your back. And if you have your block here, we're going to take it on its lowest setting and slide that underneath of your sacrum. So your sacrum is going to be the lowest point of your spine there, right where it meets the pelvis. And just notice there that the glutes are slightly off the block and that it does not feel pinchy in your lower back at all. If it does, you might need to move the block down a little bit. Now take your hands and find your front pelvic points right here on the front of your pelvis. And if you have your hands right on them, I want you to imagine lightly drawing them together so you feel this subtle, deep activation in the lower belly. That's muscles called the transverse abdominis here. The deepest layers of the core, it's going to wrap around and you can really feel kind of that hugging or cinching in. And so just holding on to that gently. Take a moment here, relax your shoulders and your neck. And then just start to bring some awareness to your breath. Inhaling and exhaling through your nose. I'm just feeling there as you inhale that you are lifting the ribs up, you're expanding them outward. And as you exhale completely, you'll feel at the bottom of that exhale, it's kind of that subtle engagement of the abdominal wall. We aren't gripping or clenching. And just take a few more breaths like that. And taking that really complete exhale, maybe even exhaling a bit longer than you think you can. Now keep that breath going. You're going to lift the right knee up over the hip. Feel the pelvis level on both sides. Just begin to internally and externally rotate in the right hip. So you can have the right fingers in this right hip crease. And just imagine that you are moving the hip in the socket and everything else is just responding to that movement. Sometimes you really have to put some focus and some awareness right into the joint. And then we'll hold this external rotation, so the thighs rolling out, the foot and lower leg are moving toward the left. Cross the right ankle over the left thigh for a figure 4 stretch. You can have the right hand on the right thigh, just gently guiding away. And set the right foot down on the floor. Switching sides there, bring the left knee up. And then just begin to internally and externally rotate. The left fingers can be in the hip crease. Just sending that focus into the left hip. So it's not just, say, the knee, for example, moving in and out, but we're really initiating that with the hip. Just notice anywhere that feels a little resistant. Hold the external rotation so thigh rolls out, and then set the left ankle on the right thigh. Maybe just gently guide that left thigh forward. And we'll set the left foot back down on the floor here. Now place your hands on your front pelvic points again. Lightly imagine drawing them together. Lengthen your tailbone forward toward the knees. And before we do anything else here, I just want you to imagine that you were going to lift yourself up by your glute muscles. And so it's like you could almost push and resist your glutes against your hands, if that makes sense. And so you can always reach back and give your glutes a little tap to give them like a little head start there. And then push into the big toe mounds and lift up using the glutes, using the hamstrings, not so much the lower back. You can take that block off to the side there. Now I always like to have my hands on these front pelvic points just to give that feedback to my glutes that they are pushing up. And so just noticing here that the glutes are, and they should be active, right? If we just totally relax the glutes here, that usually puts some more responsibility on the lower back to get us up into this position. And since these glute muscles are the biggest, strongest, should be, muscles in the body, right? We want to use them. Use them to provide that support to the back. Now you can take your arms and reach them up toward the ceiling. Do a little wrist stretch here. Left hand will pull the right fingers back. And this is even a good place to notice if you find a difference, like side to side in the hips. Or if one side of the pelvis, one side of the glutes are working a little bit more. You can switch hands there. Right hand pulls the left fingers back. And then go ahead and let your arms come down. We'll just slowly lower one vertebra at a time here. All right, so go ahead and take your hands onto the sides of your ribs. We're going to take an inhale through the nose. Feel the ribs lift and expand, and then exhale through the nose. But exhale a little bit longer than you think you can. And then at the bottom of that exhale, feel this three-dimensional, like hugging around the waist. So we draw in and then we pull down. And let's do that again. So inhale, we lift and expand the ribs. Exhale completely. And feel that hugging in. Let's do that one more time. And so when we're engaging these deeper layers of the belly, right, we're not just trying to get kind of this top layer to pop up, right? So you can really think about hugging in and drawing down, accessing those deeper layers. Okay, so we're going to add some movement onto that. Take an inhale. Exhale fully. Hug in, draw down, lift the right knee up. Inhale, set the foot down. Feel the ribs lift and expand. Exhale completely. Draw in, lift the left knee up. Let's keep going with that. Noticing that the neck and shoulders are not getting really rigid. I'm going to give you one more option if you'd like to take it. You can interlace your hands behind your head, cup the skull, hug the elbows in. Inhale, exhale, the right knee lifts, and then you can lift the head and shoulders as well. But notice you're leaning back into the hands, the shoulder blades are lifted. And then we're really drawing in and pulling down in the belly. Inhale, set that down. Exhale and lift. Can always just stay with the legs there. Inhale. Exhale completely. Can look down at the belly, right? Visualize drawing in, pulling down. Inhale, lower one more time here. Exhale. Relax the neck there. Work more in the belly. Inhale, set it down. Awesome. Let's go ahead and take your feet wide on the mat here. And then let your knees fall over to the right. And think about pushing in a bit to the sole of the left foot. So we're just getting some lengthening, some opening through the front of that left thigh. And just feel your breath moving into that whole left side waist. Bring the knees back up through center. Take them over to the left. You can think about pushing into the sole of the right foot a bit there. Just opening up that whole front right side. Bring the knees back up through center. And we'll roll over to your side and push up into a quadruped or tabletop position there. So spreading the fingers, getting the shoulders over the wrist and the hips over the knees. We're going to do a pretty slow segmental cat and cow. So imagine dragging the hands back. So they're not going to move, but just think about pulling them back. And then we'll just start at the lower spine, turning the pelvis and the tailbone up a little bit, softening the belly, the ribs, the chest, lifting the gaze, and then reversing that, dropping the head, lifting between the shoulder blades, the mid-back, the low back, really lift up in the belly there, and kind of curling your tailbone underneath you. Let's do that one more time. Tailbone, belly, ribs, chest, straight arms, gaze can lift. Keeping just a little bit of support there in the belly. And then letting the head drop, lifting the between the shoulder blades, mid-back, the lower back, lifting the belly, and tailbone comes down. We'll come back through neutral there. And tuck your toes under. We're coming into down dog. You can always have your hands on blocks there. But lift up in between the shoulder blades and then pike your hip creases straight up toward the ceiling. And let your head relax. Straight, strong arms. Don't collapse in the shoulders there, so lift under the armpits. Lift the forearms away from the floor. I always like to come up on the toes a bit, bend the knees, really send the hips high. And then let's take the right leg and reach it up. We'll bend the knee here, and just like we did in our bridge, just start to internally and externally rotate. A little bit different when we're upside down. And so if you need to, you can even look up at that right hip. Just imagine moving in the hip joint. It's not going to be a huge movement. Set the right foot down, left leg comes up. You can bend the knee, internally and externally rotate. And just feel even here like you're drawing those front pelvic points together, holding the ribs in. And then we'll step that left foot down there. And let's start to walk the hands back just about halfway toward the feet, halfway-ish. And then your heels are down on the floor. Sit back into your hips there, and you can rise up on your fingertips. Always the option to have the hands on blocks if you need. But see if you, as the hips move back, if you can lengthen the spine forward a bit there. And always do like a little pulse here if that feels nice. And now just imagine you could breathe into your back. Awesome. And then we'll walk the hands forward a bit here till the palms are flat, and we're just going to baby bear walk to the front. So opposite hand, opposite foot, walking up toward the front of the mat there. Once you're at the top, we will rise to stand. Awesome. So let's go ahead and take the hands in your hip creases here. Got the tailbone lengthening down, front pelvic points together. We're moving the throat back so we've got this nice tall posture. Now keep that shape, keep that form. We're just gonna hinge and sit back into the hip creases. Spine stays nice and long, neck stays in line. Hands can come down to blocks or to the floor. We're gonna step the left foot back and lower the knee here. Come onto the top of that left foot. So we're in a half kneel with the left hip directly over the knee. And then let's take the left hand behind your head and the right hand back to your sacrum. And imagine that you could move your face and your throat back into the left hand, and you could draw your pubic bone straight back through your body toward the right hand. And with the right hand back here, can check in with that left glute, give it a little tap. We want that to remain active. Feel your breath there. We'll bring the left hand down either to a block or to the floor. Tuck the left toes under. Now pack this left shoulder down and in, so hug it back away from your ear. You can lift the left knee if you like. And then we're gonna lean back into the support of the left shoulder blade and take the right arm, reach it straight up. So keep hugging that left shoulder down and in. Keep that left glute on there. And then if you like, you could reach the right arm straight forward here. I'm gonna run into the snake plant. And then pull that right hip crease back a little. You can just let the head relax. Now take your right forearm to the right thigh, spin your left heel down. We're gonna come into an extended side angle here. And you can imagine that right glute kind of wrapping back toward the left foot. Lift into that left top waist. We'll come up, warrior two, inhale. And exhale, reverse your warrior. Right arm reaches up and over. And then breathe some space into this whole right side. And we'll come back up into your warrior two. Windmill around to the back here. And we'll lower the right knee. Keep the toes tucked this time. We're going to bring the left hand back to the sacrum. And take the right arm straight up toward the ceiling. Now lengthen the tailbone down. Right hip is directly over the knee. And without changing, tipping, or really turning a lot in the pelvis, we're just going to rotate slightly to the left. Inhale back through center. Exhale, turn to the left. Back through center, turn to the left. Back through center, slight turn, keep that right glute working. One more time. Now hold it here to the left. Keep wrapping that right glute down. You can take the right arm straight out and the left arm straight back. And we're holding kind of that consolidation in the belly. Nice. Bring the right hand down to the floor or your block here. We're going to come into modified side plank. So hug that right shoulder back again, and the left leg can kick back. Now always the option here, this right shin parallel is a little bit too much. You can kickstand it behind you a bit. But imagine now the tailbone reaching straight back toward the left foot and these front pelvic points pulling together. So that should be a lot of work in that bottom right hip. I'm feeling it a lot. Take one more breath here. Just keeping your gaze relaxed. Awesome. And then we'll bring the left hand down, step the left foot forward, turn to the right for a goddess squat. So you can have the hands in the hip creases here for a moment. Feel a little bit of that kind of buckling in of the pelvic points. And then bring your right hand behind your head, left hand to the sacrum, and just feel that you're moving your face back. And we'll do some little pulses here. And you can really play around with the positioning of your feet if it feels better to have them a little further forward or a little bit more out. It's not really a right or wrong for that one. Awesome. And then we'll turn it to the front. Downward facing dog, step your right foot back. Now walk your feet about mat width apart and lift up in the belly there. Keep lifting the armpits away from the floor. And we're just gonna swivel. So the knees and the toes will move toward the right. And then swivel the other way. Knees and toes move to the left. So keep going side to side. Just keep imagining you are lifting up in the belly. Sending some awareness into the sides of the lower back, into the hips. And we'll come back through center there, and then just start to walk your feet as far forward as you can. And we'll rise all the way up to stand. All right, we got one more side here. So check in with the posture. Throat and face are moving back. Tailbone's lengthening down. You can always bend your knees a little bit to do that. Take the fingers in the hips. Sit straight back. Bring the hands down, blocks or floor. This time we'll step the right foot back and lower the knee, come onto the top of the foot here. This time let's do right hand behind the head, left hand to the sacrum. Move your face back, drawstring your pubic bone back toward that bottom left hand. And maybe just give that right glute a little tap. Make sure he's on. Feel your breath there. And then we'll bring the right hand down, block or floor. Tuck the back toes under. Now hug this right shoulder down and in, and maybe lift the back knee. We're gonna lean back a bit into this right shoulder blade. Keep hugging it in. Left arm can come up. So right glute, we want it to be really firm there. And then the left arm can reach forward. Maybe you pull the left hip crease back a bit. Left forearm comes onto the left thigh. Right heel will spin down. Extended side angle there. So the right arm can come over. And maybe just think a bit about wrapping the left glute back toward the right heel. Let the left ear soften toward the shoulder. Come up, warrior two, inhale. Exhale, reverse. The left arm reaches up and over. Let the right ear soften to the right shoulder. Inhale, warrior two. And then exhale, turn to the back. Hands can come down, lower the left knee, but keep the toes tucked under here. Take the right hand to the sacrum, the left arm comes straight up. Wrap that left glute down, so lengthen the tailbone toward the floor. And then we'll add a little turn to the right without changing the pelvis. Inhale through center. Exhale, turn to the right. Back through center. Turn to the right, going at your pace. Just noticing that we are not changing the pelvis much here. but we are rotating really from this strong container, the strong structure that we've created in the core. And then this next time, turn a little bit to the right. You can reach the left arm straight out, the right arm straight out. Hold it there. Left hand will land modified side plank. Right leg comes back. Now hug this left shoulder in. You can feel that shoulder blade kind of like lock into place. Can always kickstand that left leg back a little bit if you like. It's my weaker side, so usually I have to move it back a little bit. And then feel the front pelvic points draw together and the tailbone lengthen toward that right foot. Really want to be feeling this left hip helping to stabilize here. One more breath. We're going to step this right foot up. You can put the fingers down. Open up to the left for your goddess squat. So you can have the hands and the hips there, just feeling kind of this hugging up and in of energy. And if you need to move the toes around, you can play around and see what feels good there. And we'll just go right into some pulses. You can check in, do a little posture check. For 5 and 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll turn to the front, downward facing dog, left foot steps back. Walk the feet about mat's width apart, and then we'll just do that little pivot, swivel side to side. Keeping the arms straight and strong, lifting up in the belly. And then come back through center there. Start to walk your feet forward toward your hands. And as you're ready, come all the way down onto your back here. Okay. So once you're down on your back, let's cross the right ankle over the left thigh. You are more than welcome to stay right here, or you can reach through and grab a hold of the left leg. I always think it's kind of nice to do a little rock side to side. Or just noticing anywhere that feels maybe a little bit sticky. You can just take a moment or two and pause there. We'll just switch sides here. Left ankle crosses over the right thigh. Maybe just stay there with the foot on the floor, or you can reach through. Maybe it would feel nice for you to do that little rock. And set the feet back down on the floor. Let's pull the knees in nice and close to your belly. And then we'll roll over like in a fetal position to your right. I'm actually going to take a little blanket under my head here. You can grab a pillow or blanket if you like, and if that would feel nice. So we want to keep the knees in pretty close to the belly, and you can just open up for a turn to the left. So you kind of open your arm and your chest to the left there. And now if that left arm is kind of just like floating here in the air, it's always nice to have a block or a pillow or a blanket or something and just prop it underneath that left shoulder. And so you feel like that arm can just kind of relax into it. And we'll bring the knees back up. You can roll onto your back again. Knees are in nice and close to your belly. Take them over to the left. You can open the right arm to the right. Always that option to just prop up that right shoulder. Roll on to your back again here. We'll just set up for your Shavasana. So if you like to keep the feet on the floor and the knees bent, it's a really nice option. You could stretch the legs out. And if that feels like it pulls on your lower back, you could always take blocks, pillow, blanket, and slide it behind your knees. You can place something behind your head and your neck. Just take a few moments here, settle in. Just notice there the heaviness of your pelvis on the floor. And notice the softness and the spaciousness in your lower back. So when we are working with areas that feel tight and restricted, it's so important to create heat and movement and work to gain that strength and that mobility. But another very important component of that is just having moments where you can rest. You can let these areas feel safe. So that maybe they don't have to hold on to that tightness and that restriction. your next breath be a little bit deeper. And just begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And as you're ready, roll on over to your side. And we'll meet back up in a comfortable position there. Elevating your hips on something that feels helpful. And just notice a difference in any spaciousness or freedom around the spine, the pelvis, the hips. And just notice that difference as you move into whatever the rest of the day holds for you. Thank you so much for being here and practicing with me. As always, please give this class a thumbs up. You can hit subscribe and share it with anyone who you think might benefit from it, which is everyone, right? We all need good movement in the hips and the spine. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.